Shame on the Victorian government. Shame on the person who thought $325,000 bins, yes, bins, were the answer to the machete violence that's been going on. Shame on every single politician who thinks a photo op is safer than fixing our broken justice system. On July 31st, Premier Jacinta Allen fronted the cameras with police officers on either side, standing next to one of these Victoria's brand new safe disposal bins for machetes. It was a carefully staged announcement. Every detail was designed to say, "We're keeping you safe." So from September 1 to November 30, the Premier explained that you can walk into any of the 40 participating police stations and drop off your machete into a disposal bin and walk away without a penalty. She told us it is a part of Victoria's first ever machete ban, and come September, owning, carrying, or even buying a machete without a valid permit will be a criminal offence. If you break that law, you could face up to 2 years in prison or a fine of more than $47,000. It sounds serious, it sounds decisive, but then you hear the real costs of these bins. Just 40 of them made will cost $13 million to taxpayers of Victoria. That's $325,000 each. They're not a futuristic AI secured vaults. They don't even have any biometric scanners or any GPS tracking. They're literally just metal boxes. And in that moment, you realize that this isn't safety measure. It honestly is a spectacle. I do apologize. I'm still getting over a very bad cold and my voice is not the best, so stick with me throughout this video. Let's cut through the spin. This is political theatre, pure and simple. It's not about solving a problem. It's about looking like you've solved it. It's carefully staged performance complete with props, costumes, and even a script. The Premier gets to stand next to a shiny brand new bin flanked by police officers in uniform with the Victorian government logo behind her. She talks about being tough. She talks about being tough for the cameras, saying that she's taking action against the machete crime. And for a moment, and for a very split moment, if you're not paying attention, it feels like something is being done. But here's the trick. They're putting on a show so you don't ask the hard questions. Because here is the truth, and this is what I think. A $325,000 bin is easy to roll out. You can buy it, drop it at a police station, and call it a step forward. It's quick, it's visible, PR friendly. But fixing the justice system? That's messy. That means admitting that bail laws are broken. That means taking responsibility for violent repeat offenders being back on the street. And that means pushing through the reforms that might upset activist groups, the legal establishment, or even their own party donors. And you can't even solve it with a 15-second soundbite and a press conference. Standing in front of a bin for a photo op is easy. Standing in front of the public and explaining why the same people are committing violent crimes over and over again, well, for the poor diddums, that's uncomfortable. And the politicians? They avoid uncomfortable things like this, like the plague. And here's the part that actually should really sting to you and every other Victorian. They're spending your money on this. Every fortnight, you work, you pay taxes, and you expect, at the very least, that money is going to be used for things that are actually going to generally protect your family. That money could have been used for extra police, keeping an eye on the streets in areas where crime is rampant. It could have even funded domestic violence task forces, gang intervention programs, or even rapid response teams that prevent attacks before they even happen. It could have been used to put serious criminals behind bars for longer, instead of watching them walk out, literally, out the back door. But instead, they've taken your money. Money you have earned. Money that could have saved lives and spent it on a prop. Doesn't that make you angry? Seriously, does that make you angry or not? Because that's all these bins are. Props. Political set pieces. Shiny backdrops for a premier who needs to look like she's in control. Meanwhile, the real problem remains untouched. And if you don't believe me, think about the machete brawl in Northland Shopping Centre in Melbourne just, a couple of months ago. Broad daylight. Crowds of families doing their shopping, and out of nowhere, a group of young men armed with machetes charges in, swinging at each other in the middle of a packed public space. Terrified shoppers scrambling for cover, parents dragging their kids behind shop counters. So you tell me, would a $325,000 bin stop that? Do you think any of those gang members would have had any time to look at that Premier's press conference and thought, you know what? I'd better take my machete down to the police station and hand it in. Of course not. They don't care about the law. They don't care about the MCs. They care about power, intimidation, and violence. And yet the government wants you to believe that a handful of overpriced bins is the front line in keeping you safe. That's just not naive. That's dangerous. Because they're ignoring the real threats and telling you the problem is being handled. We've seen this play out many, many times before in government. They try the same tactics over and over again. Same script. They find something scary looking, well, they ban it. Hold an amnesty. Throw money at something shiny and hope the headlines make you forget the crime stats. Step 1, identify the object linked to the crime in the headlines. A weapon, a tool, something that people can picture in their minds. Step 2, well, they ban it. And step 3, they announced a flashy amnesty to collect it. And step 4, they spend millions on infrastructure to make the amnesty look serious. And step 5, they do their little dance and take their victory lap in the media. We see it with the firearm strict bans as well. Buybacks and public displays that didn't address the black market. Now we're seeing it with machetes. And here is the unspoken truth. I'm actually going to say this. This model doesn't stop crime. It stops visibility of crime for a while so the government can claim success. So the $13 million machete ban rollout is a perfect example of how the government treats safety as a PR opportunity, not a responsibility. They'll spend millions of dollars making it look like they've taken decisive action while the people causing the violence remain on the streets. They'll restrict and punish law-abiding citizens while leaving the lawless untouched. And here is the hardest truth that I honestly believe. These bins aren't meant to protect you. They're meant to protect the Premier's polling numbers. Because if they really cared about your safety, they'd be fixing the laws that keep letting violent offenders back out. They'd be investing in police resources, community protection, and prevention programs, not photo-friendly boxes. And I also got to ask, the manufacturers of these boxes, did they actually get any kickbacks? So ask yourself, will a $325,000 bin stop machete crime in Victoria, or is it just another expensive distraction to make you believe you're being kept safe, while people in charge hope you won't even notice what's really going on? If you're sick of the spin, make sure you share this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's start calling out this absolute nonsense that's been going on in Victoria and the nonsense that's spreading around Australia, because this is a perfect example of what not public safety is, but political theatre. We'll see you in the next one.